still getting their food, take your time to do that. Really appreciate you all making the time to be here. My name is Matt Largent, President and CEO of Williamson Inc., and welcome to our annual celebration. This is actually the third time we've done this event in conjunction with Giving Tuesday. Really important to put the spotlight back on the nonprofits to make this community work. As we open the conversation today, I want to take a moment and thank our presenting sponsor, Atmos Energy. You're going to hear a lot more from them later in the program towards the end. I want to thank our event sponsors, Tractor Supply Company and Williamson Health. Our table sponsors, Ascension St. Thomas and Vanderbilt University Medical Center, and UDIG. Additional sponsors, My Big Letters, Ready Light Media, Southern Events, Catering by G Catering, and then Nothing But Cakes for desserts. Thank you all so much for sponsoring. Really appreciate that. We're an economy built on opportunity and a community built on kindness and compassion of people serving our neighbors with really no expectation of return. In fact, those of us who work in community value, and frankly it's really everybody in this room, whether you're a Chamber of Commerce or business or one of the many nonprofits in Williamson County, are focused on creating a better life for generations of people we'll never get a chance to meet. And that's why we're here today, as I said earlier, to celebrate Giving Tuesday. We're really focused on the nonprofits who meet the needs of our neighbors, make our community a special place, and the business community that steps up to support those nonprofits with their time and their resources. When we get a chance to host a city from across the country, one of the things they leave with is understanding how well this community really works together and how much we really all pull together to make this place work. And we couldn't do it without the great nonprofits and our community. I'm very, very thankful. I also want to make a note too, on your tables, you'll see a QR code in your centerpiece. That's actually a list of all the nonprofits that are members of Williamson Inc. So make sure you scan the QR code and support those nonprofits and the missions they have across the community. In addition to nonprofits that support the community, civic organizations are really important to the fabric of Williamson County. They play a vital role when it comes to giving their time, their leadership, and their resources to support families, neighborhoods, and local initiatives. At this point, I'd like to introduce my friends from the Franklin Noon Rotary for a very special trek presentation for the proceeds for the Franklin Rodeo. David, Megan?
What an honor it is to be here in front of all y'all today. So the Franklin Noon Rotary, and as part of the Franklin Rodeo, we have given out $285,000 in grants in the year 2025. We've given to some charities like the Franklin Band, some local charities, Graceworks, One Gen Away, and it's just really an honor to be a part of the Williamson County community, and we love y'all.
Since 1949, Franklin Noon Rotary's annual giving has been powered by the Franklin Rodeo, a wholesome, exciting, family fun event made possible by our incredible volunteers, sponsors, and donors. Atmos Energy, Tractor Supply, and Williamson Health are just a few of our standout partners. We're so grateful for their support and the support of this community. Walking around the room today, it struck me that 95% of the organizations represented here are a part of our Franklin Rodeo family. We'd love to partner with even more of you as volunteers, sponsors, and grant recipients as we gear up to celebrate our 75th rodeo in May. Thank you.
Thanks so much. And anybody who's had a chance to go to the Franklin Rodeo knows that it's really become one of those signature events in our community. So thrilled to be able to recognize the great work they do across the entire county. So thank you all for being a part of today's event. Very much like our presenting sponsor, Atmos Energy, who is an incredible corporate citizen across Middle Tennessee, we wanted to really focus on a company who's also a great model corporate citizen. That company is Tractor Supply Company. They do so much for our community, so much for their employees, and then really so much for their stores all across the country as well. That is really something that's ingrained in that company's mission and values. And I'm thrilled today to bring a conversation both about the work they do for nonprofits, but also a perspective on where the economy is heading and how it sort of relates to retail and how it matters to people in this room as well. So it's my pleasure at this point to introduce Hal Lawton. Hal Lawton has served as the president and CEO of Tractor Supply Company since January 2020 and is a member of the company's board of directors. During his tenure at Tractor Supply, Hal has led the company through a period of unprecedented growth while introducing its Life Out Here strategy to drive sustainable growth. Previously, Hal served as president of Macy's from September of 2017 to December of 2019. Prior to that, Hal was senior vice president at eBay North America from August 15 to September 2017. Before that, Hal spent 10 years in various leadership roles at Home Depot. Hal holds a dual bachelor's degree in chemical engineering and pulp and paper science technology from NC State and a master's of business information from University of Virginia. Please welcome Hal Lawton to the stage for a fireside chat conversation. Hal, good to see you. So great. So you can see we've set up a fire and a mantle and all the things.
Weather with you.
And yes, I brought the weather. It's very Christmas weather. So glad you're able to be here today to have this conversation. So as we start to set the stage for the conversation, talk a little bit about the business before we jump into the way you support nonprofits, again, at your store support center and across the country.
Well, thanks for the invitation to be here today. It's great to see everybody. I hope everybody had a fantastic Thanksgiving and your holidays are off to a good start. And of course, this event is a great celebration of the holidays and all the great work done in Williamson County. A little bit about Tractor Supply. Hopefully everybody in here has been to one of our stores nearby, but a little bit more broadly about us. We're in 49 states. We have 2,400 stores. The average store does about $7 million in revenue, so we're right around $15.5, $16 billion in revenue. The only state that we're not in is in Alaska. And then, of course, from a category perspective, it's really all of what we call the life out here lifestyle. And so we sell a range of categories from apparel to dog food to all things animal feed, whether it's equine or poultry, etc., to ag products and recreational products, to then, tools and hardware, and then all the things you need for garden. And the business has been around since 1938, over 85 years now of history. We've been in Nashville, the greater Nashville, since 1978, and opened our offices in Maryland Farms over 10 years ago now.
Great, thanks, Hal. So that kind of sets the stage for this conversation. So talk about the work you do, and we already heard a little bit about it earlier from our tech presentation, about work you do in partnership with the nonprofit community, both in Nashville and the stores throughout the company. I love how you call this your store support center, right? Because your headquarters is in the communities you serve. That's where your talent is, that's where your customers are. I've always loved that distinction. So talk about the work you do, and then more importantly, why you do that kind of work.
Yeah. To Matt's point, we have a phrase at Tractor Supply we talk all the time about ensuring that we capture the scale of being a national retailer, but always executing locally. And it really is all about that individual store and the community around that individual store that we want to be a part of. And so as it relates to our giving, we feel like a big piece of being a part of that community is being a good corporate citizen and giving back and being a part of that community where we live, work, and play. And so we have a few different focus areas of our giving. The first is in giving back from an education and rural perspective. So that's really where we lean in with like FFA and 4-H in a big way. We are the largest donor to FFA, one of the largest donors to 4-H, and our history with them goes back well over a decade, nearly 25 years. In addition to that, we also are big in our sponsorship of what we call hometown heroes. And that is not only veterans and active military, but also police, fire, and EMS. Because we believe in, first off, 20% of the population in the country is in rural America, but 50% of our military comes from rural America. So it really represents our communities. And many of those individuals, when they come back to their communities, continue to serve and continue to protect through things like the fire and police department or EMS. And even if they weren't in the military, we know those individuals are beacons of the community, and we want to make sure we're connected deeply into them. So those are the types of giving things that we really focus on. And in addition to that, we also, it's very important for us to be a good citizen here in Middle Tennessee. And so we do a disproportionate amount of giving also in this area, typically in those sorts of types of topics still, but very much, want to be an anchor and a great corporate citizen in the Middle Tennessee area, where we have over 1,500 folks that are employed at our store support center, as you mentioned. We say team members. And we do call it our store support center because we want to emphasize that that building is all about making life simpler for our stores, right? It's not about creating bureaucracy. It's not about doing work for work's sake. It's about making it easy in our stores so that we can take care of our customers and our community.
Yeah, it's a really important distinction too. Your headquarters is in the communities you serve. And I think there is a component from a workforce retention and recruitment standpoint when you get involved with 4-H and Future Farmers of America. Talk about that too and how it actually becomes your giving leads into a workforce retention and recruitment strategy.
Yeah, we, to your point, it's all about being engaged in our communities. We are always looking to hire people who live the lifestyle. Many of them came through 4-H and FFA. We do a lot of sponsorships to send students to Indianapolis for the FFA annual convention. But we also do, for instance, in our stores, tuition reimbursement. Up to $5,750 a year. Really no questions asked once you've worked with the company for 6 months. We're also a big believer in benefits. I was just looking at the annual sign-up. 47% of our eligible team members utilize our benefits. That's, you can think about that, very high, particularly for a largely hourly workforce. We do allow for anyone to get benefits that works 15 hours or more a week. But again, it's all about engaging the community, taking care of our team members, taking care of those who live the lifestyle in rural America. We really believe that if we do that well, it's just for the good of Tractor Supply and investment in the future of Tractor Supply.
Well, when you take care of your team, they take care of your customers. I know that's really important philosophically, and I remember when we had a conversation kind of as we're coming out of COVID, you all made some very specific policy changes, specifically, to recognize the people that have really helped build the company. Not on our list, but I'd love to even just mention those.
Yeah. So I mentioned benefits earlier. In the midst of COVID, we made a change to allow all part-time team members to have access to the same benefits programs that I have and other team members have, whether you're salary or full-time and full-time hourly. And the cutoff is 15 hours a week, so very low cutoff. Also, our bronze team member only plan is $29 a pay period. So think about that times 26 pay periods, right? It's less than $600 a year for an affordable healthcare plan. And then we also do $250 of HSA. So there's a little bit. So really, at the end of the day, it's a net $350 for an individual, which you can't even get, in the open marketplace. Put aside all the rhetoric around all that. So very important for us to have great medical coverage and support for our team members. Very important on the tuition reimbursement. We also do paternity leave. For instance, anyone that's full-time or salary, which is over 50, right at 50% of our workforce, they get 6 weeks paternity leave. We also provide birth support for both child adoption and also for it's on the tip of my tongue. IVF. There we go. Thank you for IVF. So we provide support in our benefits for IVF as well. So a variety of benefits, again, all really around taking care of our team so they can take care of the customer and everything takes care of itself. And by the way, we had we've got record low attrition this year in our company. I mean, record low for front-time team members. When they utilize these benefits, they stay 50% longer. So it's all, there's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, it's not accident, it's intentional.
Yeah.
That's so much of what you all do, for sure. So before we transition to hear you give your perspective on the economy, I'd love for you to kind of finish this part of the conversation with what advice you have for maybe smaller businesses who don't have quite the financial resources that Tractor does to get involved and engaged in supporting the nonprofits in their community.
Yeah, I think Williamson County in particular is such a connected community. And I think as you get active, the community gives back. And so I think, if you're a small business, find things that are connected to your small business that are great ways to give. For instance, us supporting like Harlansdale Farms, that's very much kind of in our wheelhouse, so to speak, of things to support. But finding things that you can support, we do a lot with food banks and those sorts of things as well. And how do you think about supporting those, making those small investments, and then finding what they will. Williamson County is super connected, and it'll find its way to give itself back.
Sure, and there are plenty of volunteer opportunities as well. They don't necessarily take the financial resources that you kind of added up, but I do think there is, yes, there's something altruistic, but also this comes back, right? I mean, and again, you talk about how supporting nonprofits connected to your, is one of the things that makes you an employer of choice. Same thing for small business as well. I think those things align perfectly. So let's move from talking about the support for nonprofits to talking about your business. How was 2025 for Tractor Supply Company?
It's not over yet.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
4.5 weeks left to go. But it's been a very solid year for us. We've had same-store sales growth, which in retail is kind of a key metric. Is your existing store base growing? We'll build nearly 100 stores this year as well. We're in the process of opening up a $200+ million distribution center in Idaho that'll open next year. So it's kind of halfway built. The walls are up, the roof's on. We're doing all the inside work now. So it's been another very consistent, solid year for us. But I think that's what the hallmark of Tractor Supply is every single year just continuing to grow and continue to execute and serve our customers and kind of not have too many highs, not have too many lows, but just a straightforward business.
Great. And what about the forecast for 2026? What are you seeing for the business?
Yeah, there's what I'd say it's a very mixed message economy right now. We read a lot of the negative things out there about the economy, but then whether it's kind of the working class or middle class and how's inflation affecting them, and the word affordability, will be a word we all hear millions of times in 2026. And if you're watching the football games this weekend, you heard it a lot with the election here. But that's going to be a word that everybody's anchoring on. And I think the question is just where are we on this, kind of in the economy as it relates to affordability. But I think at the highest level, it seems like the economy is going to continue to be just fine. You listen to the credit card companies, you listen to a lot of folks that see the full body of consumer spend. It seems like things are stable in that kind of 2 or 3% GDP growth. And I think there'll be there's an opportunity for a strong beginning part of the year with the tax rebates coming back, given the big beautiful bill and a lot of the things that some of that tax code that was able to continue to go forward that's going to allow for a lot of tax refunds.
So, I want to get back to the question, but I want to actually dive into this a little deeper. So, what do you look for as a barometer for the U.S. economy, just in general? What signs point to economic health or economic concerns, and what should people in the audience be paying attention to?
Yeah, I think at the highest level, obviously, just gross domestic product. Just is our country growing, right? And then factors that obviously impact that are things like unemployment rate, inflation, which we've been very, very focused on as a country for the last few years. Consumer spending, given that over 70% of our spend in this country, GDP, is from consumer spending. It's really the driver of our economy. And we need consumer spending to stay strong and to stay resilient. So I think everybody's always watching that as well. Interest rates, we'll see how those play out for next year. Not only what the Fed does, but then just how the broader interest rate market evolves. Because as we watch this year, those two are not always directly correlated. But those are some of at the highest level, the metrics we look at.
Any change in barometers in the last few years that you've noticed? Maybe since COVID?
Yeah, I think there's been a slow drip of kind of the working class and middle class feeling less like, feeling like they've got less dollars, right? That their wages are not going as far as they need for them to go. And it's really, I think it's less inflation on kind of day-to-day items, but it's inflation on the big items that are material in people's lives, in particular housing. And as you know, that's a hot topic for me here in Middle Tennessee as well, is we need affordable housing for like we have, as I mentioned earlier, nearly 1,500 team members here in Middle Tennessee, and we need affordable housing. And I don't mean low-end housing, I mean affordable housing, right, across all spectrums of income. And I think we've got to look in the mirror on how we're going to create that affordable housing, because it's not just us in this room. Many of us probably all are doing just fine on our homes, but that next generation between 25 years old and 35 years old is really struggling right now to find affordable housing, even getting paid good wages.
Yeah, you're exactly right. We had an event just 2 weeks ago, Keys to Housing event, where we talked about, actually did a study in the city of Franklin about what does affordable housing look like? What does it even mean? And we talked a lot about starter homes, opportunities for your kids and grandkids to move back. It's great that we can help create the careers. Now we got to help create that housing as well that allows them to come back to this community. They don't have to go to Charlotte or Chicago or Atlanta. They can come back and have a career and have a home eventually in our community. I think that's really, really important. You hit on something that we'll be taking an even deeper look at with a lot of people in this room in the community to see if we can make progress on it next year as well. You kind of hit on this, and this I think is the kind of opportunity to give some advice to people in the room as well. Uncertainty seems to be the constant theme of the economy really post-COVID. So how do you manage through it, and what advice would you have to people who are managing through uncertainty, regardless of the size or scale of their business?
Yeah, to your point, it seems like every year there's a new challenge or issue, right? I think none of us expected beginning of this year for tariffs to be as large of an issue as they were. We all knew that they were coming, but maybe not to this degree. You can go back over the past 5 years. There's been a chapter title for each year that's created some level of uncertainty, starting with COVID, but inflation and a variety of other things that supply chain issues and those sorts of things that all created issues over the last handful of years. I mean, I think the big issue for businesses is calculate your risk, right? What is the risk tolerance that you have, and what are the risks that you're going to take, and what are the range of outcomes for those, and what sort of are you comfortable with all those range of outcomes, just like you would be with your own personal finances, right? And if you're taking a big risk, do you have backup plans for that, right? And have you calculated how that risk is going to play out? But we at Tractor Supply, we're constantly doing that. We're looking at each one of our investments that we're making. Are we getting the return that we expect from that? What sort of overall commitment are we making to some level of investment? What sort of option value do we have to pull back on those investments if they're not working well, or to lean in if they are working well? But I would say this: if I think back to like the 87 years of Tractor Supply's history, the one thing we've never done is it's a risk the entire company bet, and I think you'll never see us do that. And I think for businesses, that's always the thing to calculate is what level of risk are you taking?
Yeah, that's a great point. Well, and you kind of touched on this when talking about some of the challenges around housing. It's related to growth. This is a place where people want to be. I think Williamson County had one of the highest housing appreciations through COVID. I noticed Knoxville has now the highest in the country in terms of appreciation in a short amount of time. So we know there's concerns about growth. And look, I get this question is going to be a little self-serving, but why is it important for Tractor to support the work of chambers of commerce, whether it's us or the National Chamber, as it relates to continue to develop this economy? Why would we, why is it important? Why is a growing economy important for both Tractor, the business community, and this entire region?
Yeah. First off, I always put a plug in. We've added, I think, over 400 team members to our store support center in the last 5 years. Many of those were hired and moved to this area. And they want to live in Williamson County. Well over 50% of the 1,500 team members I mentioned live in Williamson County. They want to live here for the lifestyle that's accorded for Williamson County. They want to live here for the school systems that are accorded for Williamson County, the economic orientation of the county. I mean, as we all know, this is the best county in the state of Tennessee. And they want to live here. And the question is, how do we create that level of affordable housing where they can have if they're early in their career, they can get an apartment. If they're a little further in their career, they can get that first home, that starter home, and then eventually move on. But folks want to live in this county. They don't want to live over in Antioch. They don't they don't want to live 2-3 hours with a commute or 2-hour commute into Williamson County, into Maryland Farms, and just us finding ways to create that affordable housing, being very purposeful on where we do it from a permitting perspective, but taking those steps. I would also encourage us not to think about it forever, because every time I hear anything about zoning, permitting, and then it's like, well, let's look at it for multiple years, and then construction doesn't happen overnight. The next thing you know, it'd be like 10 years from now before we're getting anything done. So this county always moves with speed when appropriate, and would encourage us to do that as well.
I couldn't agree more. For those of us who had a chance to go to Minneapolis, we heard from their mayor, their version of Rogers Anderson, the dean of mayors across the region, and he said in Minneapolis they have a long history of admiring their problems. And so I think the same could be said for us. So agree, but I do think now with an actual study, with data, as you learn from the keys to housing, actually picking the problem you're trying to solve, I think there are steps now to try to figure out something that can be done. Frankly, here and across the country, you're seeing this happen across the country with this housing issue. So I do think so. But I also think it's definitely not. But what why is it important for us to continue to grow as a region? I mean, why, what would happen if all of a sudden we decided, okay, we're done growing, we're stopping, we're shutting the door? What would that mean to a company like yours?
Yeah, I mean, growth is key to all businesses, right? I don't think there's a business in the room that says, hey, I just want to be flat next year, right? Because we all have underlying inflationary costs, right? The rent for the facility is going up. You're going to pay more for your team members the next year and wage increases. So you've always got underlying cost increases. You're going to look to make as productive as you can and offset some of those, but you got to have that top line growth to offset that. And then over time, you want to keep investing in your business, creating more employment opportunities, creating more economic income for Williamson County that can ultimately feed into school systems and other things. I mean, I just think, growth is key, right? Just in general in life, not unbridled growth, thoughtful, calculated growth, but growth is key. And I don't think there's very many cities that have sat still and flourished over time, right?
Well, I think that's important too. And one of the things we know from an economic development standpoint, our current companies are some of their community's best prospects. And so making sure our current companies are happy here, they're growing here, they're employing here, they're finding employees here is really important to serve our existing companies, like a Tractor Supply that's grown up in this community. So it's a great point. As we kind of come to the end of the conversation, we talked a little bit about this when we sort of reconnected the giving to nonprofits to hiring people who live the lifestyle out there. We know that when we survey our members, one of the top 3 challenges, and usually it's the number 1 challenge, is finding talent with the right skill. So talk about the way that you find and develop talent at Tractor Supply Company in a really intentional way.
Yeah, first off, I'd start with, I think we have just a wealth of talent in this industry. We've got great school systems. We've got both in the from a high school perspective, colleges as well, and people want to live here after school. So I feel like we've got a great epicenter of talent. And for us, it's all about going out and finding that right talent, bringing them in, and then growing and developing them. So we do a lot of internal leadership programs. We also connect into a lot of the leadership programs that are available in the community to grow our leaders. And then we're constantly trying to lattice them with different career paths to grow and develop them, and give them those opportunities. And we're thrilled with being involved in this community and being in Maryland Farms and both the setup of our store support center. I think we're virtually basically back in the office completely, and we didn't have to do that in a heavy-handed way because people like living and coming to the office. They like going to Maryland Farms. They like the setup that we have there, and I think that's what Williamson County more broadly represents.
And you've been a great supporter of leadership, Brentwood. I greatly appreciate it too. It's been fantastic. And you're right about you all. I think we're so thoughtful about this sort of getting back to the office where it wasn't a mandate, but it also wasn't a mandate pullback, and a lot of uncertainty. I thought the way you all went about it was really as good as I'd seen anybody in the country do that. How's it actually manifested from a
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we have nearly 1,500 folks that work out of our store support center. About 150 are remote, as you can imagine, regional vice presidents and such like that are out operating our stores, or new store opening teams that travel quite a bit. But we're averaging right around 1,300 team members in the office Monday through Friday. It dwindles to about 800 or 900 on Friday. I mean.
How many on Saturday?
There are Saturday, but they always say don't come in on Sunday if you don't come in on Saturday, right? Yeah, I mean, I think we've been very, very successful in that. It's all about creating that culture, that community, that connectivity, having a great environment, all embedded in there.
Yeah, that's great. I appreciate that. As we kind of close the conversation today, we actually had this featured at one of our events. We've done a workshop around this, a lot of conversation about AI and how it could completely transform the workforce in ways we could probably never imagine to understand. But talk about, and I also want to mention too, because Glenn Allison, I know is in the room, did a fantastic job with the AI CBC Summit a few weeks ago. Just really, really well done, incredibly well done. So talk about the ways that you all have deployed and used AI effectively.
Yeah. First off, I'd say I'm of the belief that AI is going to just change our economy and change what we ask workers to do and humans to do, not make humans obsolete. But I think for that future to be achieved, then humans have to know how to use AI. And so the first thing I'm always encouraging is the school systems to embrace AI, and I think that's starting to happen. But a year or two ago, AI was cheating in school systems. And I think we're doing our graduates a disservice if we take that approach, because when they come to work at Tractor Supply, the first thing we want them to do is to be able to use all that, because it makes them more efficient, more productive, more capable. So the ways that we use it are threefold. The first is just all of our core systems, our ERP system with SAP, our warehouse management systems with Manhattan and others. Those are all constantly bringing in new AI functionality. We review them. If we got to pay for them, we assess it, and then we'll roll those in. The second is at the large IT level. So Glenn and the team leading some kind of enterprise level type AI technologies. For instance, we have what we call Tractor Vision technology, where in about 800 of our stores, the cameras have been turned intelligent, and they allow us to direct our team members to areas where customers need support, but maybe we wouldn't have line of sight to them. And it's been very effective. We have a knowledge tool as well that our team members can all tap. But the third way, and I think the way that we will all see AI really come to life over time, is person by person building out agents that allow them to make their jobs more productive. And so as an example, we have a couple folks in real estate that constantly were going into it, opening up Adobe PDF files for every one of our 2,400 leases, doing a Control F and trying to find line items and going in and researching, right? That took a lot of time. It was a lot of friction. You can imagine we're doing that hundreds of times a day. Anytime there's an issue at the store, wondering, is it our responsibility? Is it the landlord's responsibility? That sort of thing. We've now put all those 2,400 leases in a little AI agent, and being able to take those two individuals, and about 80% of their job now is much more productive, forward-looking, and they're only spending about 20% of their job on a clearing. And we've got folks in finance that have automated big parts of their job and be able to be more productive now and those sorts of things. And I'm thinking back to like in 1980, before SAP and all these ERP systems came out, how effective was a finance person? Right, a lot of paper, a lot of tablets, maybe a big computer you were dropping slots in and out of. Then year 2000 comes along and Microsoft Excel comes out, and now a finance person is maybe 50 times more productive. And I think that's the way AI is going to be too, is it'll make those sorts of analytical roles 50 times more productive than they were with Excel, and 2,500 times more productive than pre-SAP. But I think everyone has to push themselves to really embrace AI at a minimum. Download ChatGPT, create an account, and learn to use it.
That's great, and I would offer too some advice. I think for the parents in the room, right, or grandparents. How much of that do you try to tease out in the interviews? Is the candidate's understanding of and use of AI?
Yeah, so like my daughter, as an example, she's a sophomore at Texas Christian University down in Texas, and she's coming back this summer, and she's interviewing for internships. And so she had a little coffee last week when she was in town for fall break with an individual that she's hoping to do an internship with. And she had a little one-pager to guide the coffee chat with this individual, and she used ChatGPT for it. And she said to me, "Do you think I should bring that to the coffee chat?" And I'm like, "Absolutely." Because if they ask, "Hey, how did you get, tell me about this," tell them that you use ChatGPT to create it, because it'll show them that, you're leveraging all the tools that are out there. And if they don't like it, you probably don't want to work with that company anyway. Okay?
That's great. That's great advice. That's really great advice. So that's from a personal standpoint. I would say, too, from a professional standpoint, again, going back to small business in the room may not have quite the budget of Tractor Supply Company, what sort of framework or philosophical advice would you have as they start to use AI tools?
Yeah, so, ChatGPT is, you can get a freeware, right? And it has probably 70-80% of the capabilities just in the freeware. For $19.95 a month, I think it is, you can get your paid version. But play around with it. Start to use it. Start to find out how it can do coding. Start to find out how it can help you build better spreadsheets. There was and just as a small business, use it. Encourage people in your businesses to use it, and just you'll realize it's just going to make things so much more efficient, like in marketing, right? Instead of like taking the perfect photo or spending money on that, you could take an old photo. Maybe we do this in marketing all the time. A spring photo, dump it in ChatGPT, and say, "Make this photo fall." And then it goes into an email 10 minutes later, but that's saving everybody money and time.
Sorry for the photographers in the audience. No, that's great advice. And I think about the scene in Hidden Figures all the time, right? The computer's there. you've got to learn to use it because it's not necessarily going away. And we know it's an international race with China and other countries when it comes to AI and how that's really going to change the economy for the next 50 or 100 years. So, anything we got a couple minutes left. Anything that you wanted to talk about that maybe wasn't on the list, or any sort of parting words for the group, Hal?
I go back to Williamson County, and I mentioned earlier about being the best state and best county in Tennessee, and certainly, if not one of the best counties in all of the country. And we're proud to be a part of it at Tractor Supply, and all of our team members are proud to be part of Williamson County that live there, greater part of Middle Tennessee, and it really is. Williamson County's success is due to all the individuals that are in this room and others that are committed to the success of the county, to growth, but doing it in a calculated way that keeps the lifestyle that we have here. The nonprofits, the small businesses, all connected well together here in the county, and just very optimistic about the future of Williamson County and Tractor Supply being a part of it. But leaders like Matt, I think are a big part of that. And Matt, just want to say thank you for everything you do for the
Thanks,
county.
Al. I appreciate that. Well, and look, it's an ecosystem, right? I mean, we know that you talked about the 1,500 employees or team members at the Store Support Center. The kind of incomes they make allow them to have the disposable income to spend with our small businesses across the county and across the region. So when you attract and keep a large business, it has that multiplier effect for small business. So I just appreciate all the work that you all do, creating those careers and giving back to our community. So please join me in thanking Hal Lawton for coming. So again, thank Hal. That was fantastic. We just love the work that Tractor Supply does for our community. It's been a great partner for not just us, but for a lot of different organizations around Williamson County. As we kind of get towards the back end of the program today, I want to just take a moment and give you all a closer look to the impact of our work throughout this last year. It is, after all, an annual celebration. So I want to share a short video featuring a few voices across the business community here in Williamson County.
These guys are a fantastic organization, and that really encourages people to really plug in. And the Chamber has a lot of things citywide and countywide to get involved in, and I like to encourage everybody to also plug in and use the Chamber's resources.
We thank the Williamson Chamber for this amazing program you guys put together. It's a great way to just raise the profile of so many great members of the Chamber. And as a nonprofit, it means a lot to us.
I've had so much support, and so many people have reached out to me with words of encouragement, suggestions, and just being truly so welcoming to a new business owner. Really, the Chamber has been excellent, and I'm very, very thankful for y'all to welcome me and this new business. And we are so excited to be in Williamson County. It's clearly an excellent place for new businesses.
I want to thank Katie Byrne on our team specifically for providing that and working on that for Hype Video. I really appreciate the time and effort she put in making this. So Katie, thank you. Really appreciate that. At Williamson Inc., our team of volunteers are focused on providing comprehensive business support. From small business to large corporations, like we just heard, we provide resources, expertise, and opportunities that fuel success for every stage of business. This year, we cut the ribbon on 87 new businesses across the county, nearly matching our record-setting year of 89 last year. Again, I think it's a good barometer of the economy. We held 10 small business workshops under the direction of our Small Business Council, which really guides the programming and helps make sure that what we're doing is really relevant to our small business here in Williamson County. At that same time, we sit at the crossroads of business and community collaboration. We're the convener of important conversations on important issues in Williamson County, like as we mentioned earlier, creating access to more starter homes, to give your kids and grandkids a place to live with our Keys to Housing event, really just 2 weeks ago, and a focus on the entire education ecosystem in Williamson County with our first ever Where Business Meets Education event a few months ago, 2 events that were referenced earlier today. Our team members drive economic opportunity by attracting careers, strengthening the local workforce, and cultivating an environment where business and families can prosper. With a variety of economic development initiatives like connecting high school students with career experiences, creating free exposure, education, and funding opportunities for startups, and collecting over 11,000 signatures to advocate to improve the roads and funding here in Williamson County. We make the connections that matter, fostering relationships between business, community leaders, and regional partners to inspire collaboration and advance shared goals, like hosting the first ever statewide Merrill Summit in partnership with Think Tennessee, and through our amazing programming through Women in Business on a regular basis in the community. And we do all this great work guided by our board of directors. And I want to just take a couple minutes to recognize them at this time. I want to take just a minute and recognize the outgoing board members, Tim Adams, Mike Allday, Meg Chambly, JP Cowan, if you were in the audience I know, Alvin Cameronac, Cassie Jones, Laura Register, Al Pramick, John Wingo, Tommy Galen, Doug Ruland. Please help me and give a hand to our outgoing board members. I also want to take just a second and introduce our new incoming board members who will start their 3-year term in January. Fahad Tahir, Jason Johnson, Robert Ramsey, Kurt Kane, Hassan Arshad, Mark Chaffin, Julia Bonner, Eric Mischel, Derek Solomon, Alan Thompson, Jim Mead, and Shane Hall. Please help me in welcoming our new board members as well. And I want to take a moment to invite our current board chair, who's actually serving his last term, Luis Brody with Republic Bank, to the stage to say a few words and express my appreciation of your leadership the last 2 years, Luis. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt, and thanks to all of you for being here. As chairman of the board of Williamson Inc., my heart is full of gratitude. Gratitude for your trust, your partnership, and your commitment to this incredible organization and community. Thank you to our dedicated board of directors, the executive committee, and the tireless staff of Williamson Inc. You are the engine that drives this institution, and it has been an honor to serve alongside you. When I took this post, we set out with a clear vision to ensure Williamson County remains the premier place in Tennessee to live, work, and do business. I am proud to say we did not just maintain our momentum, we accelerated. Over the past 2 years, our efforts were laser focused on smart growth, specifically in 2 key areas: economic development for the business community. We have continued to be the leading voice for business, securing new opportunities and resources that allow our existing companies to thrive and new enterprises to choose Williamson County. We have strengthened the economic backbone of this county, resulting in more jobs, more investment, and more stability for all our neighbors. Strengthening our leadership, we recognize that as an organization, it's only as strong as its leadership. I am incredibly proud of the efforts we made to recruit and onboard outstanding new members to our board of directors. This infusion of new talent, diverse perspective, and renewed energy ensures that Williamson Inc. will continue to innovate and lead for years to come. These achievements were not mine, they belong to all of us. They are a testament to the spirit of partnership that defines Williamson Inc. We have demonstrated that when businesses, community leaders, and elected officials work in alignment, we are unstoppable. We have built bridges and forged relationships that will endure far beyond any single term of office. This organization is more than just a chamber of commerce. It is the unified voice of Williamson County business. As I hand the gavel to my successor, Chuck Abbott, President and CEO of Great Line, Tennessee, I do so with absolute confidence. The foundation is strong, the team is energized, and the mission is clear. I challenge the incoming leadership and all of you to build upon the momentum we have created. Continue to seek out opportunities for economic development, continue to champion the needs of our business community, and continue to prioritize the thoughtful growth of our leadership team. My term may be ending, but my commitment to Williamson Inc. and Williamson County is not. I look forward to continue to support this organization in any way I can. Thank you again for the privilege of a lifetime. It has been an honor to serve as your chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Luis. I really appreciate it. And you're right, this is a team effort, right? Again, when communities come and visit us, we had 3 last year, we had 1 just a few weeks ago, they recognize and understand and appreciate how well everyone really does work on the same page, making sure we're headed the same way to create an even better place for businesses and families in Williamson County. As we get again toward the end of the presentation today, I want to take a moment too to recognize another tremendous corporate citizen, Atmos Energy. They were actually one of the big sponsors of our Business Means Education, and they provided money in a pitch competition for students. You'd missed it, it was fantastic. So I am thrilled to welcome Christina Christensen to the stage to say a few words on behalf of our presenting sponsor and also for a very special presentation.
Thanks, Matt. Wow. It's great to see so many familiar faces here today celebrating Giving Tuesday. What an incredible day to come together as a community and remind ourselves what really matters, helping our neighbors. At Atmos Energy, our mission is simple: fueling safe and thriving communities. And it's not just a slogan, it's something we live out by supporting organizations that make a real difference every single day. Organizations like High Hopes, Davis House Child Advocacy Center, and United Way of Greater Nashville. Since today is all about giving, we thought, why not make it extra special? So I'd like to take a moment to invite y'all to come up to the stage with us. So here's the big news. Atmos Energy is donating $10,000 to each of these organizations. We're so proud to stand alongside you in fueling bright minds and healthy futures for kids. When we work together, there's nothing this community can't accomplish. So let's keep fueling hope for our neighbors in need and keep making Williamson County the best place to live, work, and raise a family. On behalf of Atmos Energy, thank you for everything you do, and thank you for allowing us to be part of your journey.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. That was a great surprise. We actually did make use of the stockings. It was glad to see that. Those weren't just for show, so that was good. So as we kind of get to the close of the presentation today and really the conversation, I want to say that the great work of our nonprofits really only happen in a growing and thriving community. These nonprofits rely on the resources of a growing community to fulfill their respective missions, and we heard today how important those are to the people in our community. It's critical that this community remains a place that welcomes investment and embraces businesses of all styles. Our community understands and has proven we know how to balance growth and preservation. Our local elected leaders do an exceptional job navigating both. In fact, Williamson County is successful because we've committed to balancing the two, protecting what makes this place special while creating opportunity for the people who call it home. As our community adds more residents and additional businesses, we will continue to advocate for more funding for roads, for schools, for housing, we heard that earlier today, and all things that growing communities need to prosper. The Chamber of Commerce's role in the community is to support small business growth and success. Efforts to shut down growth entirely hurt small business the most because rising costs have already shrunk their profit margin. The corner bakery, the family-owned coffee shop, the mechanic who's been here 20 years, they rely on a steady flow of customers to keep their doors open, pay their employees, and support their families. Free enterprise only works when there are people here to serve. If we close the door on any new growth or any new potential customers, how long do we think those small businesses could actually survive? Supporting responsible growth isn't about getting bigger for the sake of it, we all know that. And it's not about compromising our high standards of development, which is what this community is known for. It's about protecting the backbone of our economy, the men and women who took a risk, put their own money on the line, and created something of value for this community. This year, as I mentioned earlier, we hosted 87 ribbon cuttings with local businesses that marked major milestones. Not just grand openings, but anniversaries, expansions, and groundbreaking. Each one was a celebration of new opportunity, supporting the families who rely on these businesses for a strong, stable livelihood. To shut down growth entirely would suggest we're closed for business, and we all know this community has worked too hard for too long for that message to represent us. We serve Williamson County as an organization with an eye toward what's ahead. Every effort we make is rooted in the belief that a stronger business community builds a stronger Williamson County for everyone today and for years to come. As we close out today, I just want to thank the nonprofits for exhibiting. We'll have some time at the end to make sure you visit the booths if you haven't already. Their presence is a reminder of how important this community is, the heart of this community, and the impact they make every single day. So I do encourage you to go to the booths of people that have been here. For those of you who stick around until 1 o'clock, make sure you drop your business card in a box that's going to be here as soon as I'm finished for a drawing for a Made in Tennessee gift cards. It's a small thank you for being with us today. Also, this was referenced earlier by Hal, the commercials he saw during football. We know an active, engaged voter is critical to community success. If you're in the 7th Congressional District, make sure you vote today. Unless you've already voted, then don't vote again. But make sure you do vote in that. Participation at the local level is one of the most important ways we shape, in this case, not just the future of Williamson County, but the entire region. And also, on a festive note, just wait a second before we do this. We've hidden one winner under every table. So when I finish, look under your chair. If you have a post-it mark give, you get to take home the Jingle Bell centerpiece. Thank you all for making the time here. Thank the great team at Williamson Inc. for the work you've done throughout the year. Have a great rest of the day and enjoy the holiday season. Check out your chair. Thanks.
All right.